Hi, we're here at Itron Utility Week 2016 in Orlando, and one of the things we're doing is to go around some of the partner booths and guess where we are? We're at ABB, right? And talk to the partners at their booths about some of the hardware they're bringing to bear, how it works with our Itron network, but actually also this next segment is off the back of a longer interview we did with Emma at ABB, where actually the talk was about a unified network management console and how that can be brought to bear. But I'm not the expert, right? So we're going to hand over to Brian. Brian, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. And just listen, in your own words, tell us what we're doing here and how does that sort of overall network performance and control, how do you make that happen?
When you look at our products, it really becomes a portfolio of many wireless products that are required to put a high reliability network in place. So at the end of the day, when we consult with customers, we say one product doesn't fit all. You really need a toolbox of wireless solutions to address every application need that comes up. So what you have here on display is a combination of products. We have one radio solutions that provide that edge computing that can be embedded into a PLC controller box or be mounted outside to withstand the elements. You can move into 2 and 3 radio solutions that provide a wireless infrastructure that creates this broadband mesh and also gives you that flexibility to be able to reach outlying areas that are hard to reach and bring that back into this overall Tier 1 network.
So Brian, one of the questions I have, so these are, I mean, ABB acquired Tropos, so these are all like the Tropos products, and having your own products on the network, that's, yeah, people can understand how that can integrate, but also a lot of your customers, I would imagine, have a whole raft of other products. Yeah, how do you integrate that? Yeah, you know, and how can you give them this unified dashboard?
So that's a great question. So many of these networks require multiple technologies, as I mentioned earlier, and that would be products that ABB doesn't manufacture. So we integrate all of those products into a platform.
Right, let's have a look at that.
A management platform called Sucrose. It's a network management system that allows us to manage all those devices that are connected into the network. So other non-ABB products are required for, let's say, high-speed backhaul applications to connect to all these routers in the network. What this system does is manage all the faults and the alarms, allow you to have visibility into the health of the network, gather statistics, and be able to react to that, be able to manage your network proactively. In a lot of the utilities, many of these networks have been around for 30, 40, 50 years, and they're not being proactively managed, and it's just the way technology has grown up over the years. So this allows you to take advantage of that and graphically depict where these devices are, dive into the system to see what the statistics are. Here are some various radio statistics on packet loss and bandwidth and performance, kind of pulling it all together to allow you to manage this network effectively.
An interesting piece you said is, like you say, so you can take 30-year-old systems and join them up on this platform.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So how arcane? What's the most arcane system you've had to integrate?
Well, many of the SCADA systems are at least 30 years old.
Right.
So a lot of those controllers out there would be communicating together with this network, so we would have visibility into the performance of that client, that wired client that's attached to this wireless network.
Right.
So that's how we do it. We see what the performance is of those wired clients attached to these devices you see on the table
so
here.
So you create a network middleware almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Tier 1, it's actually a Tier 2 field area network,
right,
where you're connecting basically that central application down to the field devices, all these field devices, those old field devices you mentioned.
And then what are some of the other things? Because the other thing that's interesting is having this GIS layer over
right.
the top of it and being able to...
So the lines indicate the frequency that's being used, the radio frequency being used to each of these points. So you can see how your network is behaving, and when you click on those lines, it'll tell you what the performance is of that line, or those individual dots mean things. It's the type of wireless router that it would be. It may be a wired client. that the customer has, and we can dive into that to see what the performance of each one of those would be.
So how much easier does this make like a holistic management? Because I would imagine, so when you're talking, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, you've got these 30-year-old systems and so on. It's like it must have been very hard to say, oh, is this working all right? Is that working all right? I mean, does this, I mean, what are the sort of efficiencies that you can get out of using something like this?
Yeah, ABB is uniquely positioned in this way, in that we're taking all these wireless products, some of them we don't manufacture, but we're pulling all that into one management system, one pane of glass to be able to manage a network. And that's rather very compelling for utilities around the country, around the world for that matter, because they don't have that today. They don't have that ability to have one system that manages everything in the field. So it's very compelling. They can control their application behavior, quality of service, VLAN performance, security aspects, and then the overall tuning of the network to be able to throttle things.
And how does this play with, I mean, we're here at Itron Utility Week, you know, the clue's in the name. How does this work with, you know, your partnership with Itron? You know, does this hook into the Riva platform in any way, shape or form? I mean, how's that going?
So that's a great question. So since this is a Tier 2 network, all of the Itron devices would be what we call a Tier 3 network. All of the AMI collectors and all of the meters form that Tier 3 layer. So the difficulty that many utilities have would be the communication of all those Riva collectors. We would provide that communication layer from Tier 2 to the main application.
Right.
So all those collectors would be connected on one of these devices. They all communicate with each other, so they all self-heal and self-form, and they deal with the interference issues that come up. There are over 63 patents on the software, so it's a industry-leading set of products.
And you can then manage the quality of service of the network.
On all of that,
so
but that's how the Riva platform is interacting with this network. The collectors are communicating to these devices, which are then ultimately communicating back to the central location.
That's perfect, Brian. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you as well for watching us. What we want to do is just bring to life some of these demos here for those of you who aren't here, or indeed for those of you who are here and didn't get a chance to see any of it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and many more on the network as well.